The moment the curtain begins to rise, don't blink, because in just 10 seconds, everything you think you know about talent, courage, and destiny is about to change. Before this story unfolds, remember this: if you believe dreams still matter, if you believe ordinary people can create extraordinary moments, then stay with me until the end. And if this story moves you even a little, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because stories like this deserve to be shared with the world. The lights of the America's Got Talent stage feel blinding to the young man standing alone at center stage. His name is Mateo Reyes, a 27-year-old from a small coastal town in the Philippines, and in this moment, the roar of the audience sounds more like crashing waves than applause. His hands tremble slightly as he grips the microphone. He can feel thousands of eyes on him, judges, cameras, and millions watching from home, but what weighs heaviest is the memory of where he came from. A tiny house with a tin roof. Long nights without electricity. A radio that barely worked, but somehow still carried the voice of Elvis Presley across oceans and into his childhood. Mateo grew up listening to Elvis while his father repaired fishing nets and his mother hummed along as she cooked simple meals. Music was never a career plan. It was comfort. It was escape. When his father passed away suddenly, that radio became Mateo's anchor. He would sing Elvis songs quietly at night, imagining brighter stages and louder applause, even as reality told him to be practical, to survive, to forget dreams that didn't put food on the table. Years later, when he told his mother he wanted to audition for AGT, she smiled with brave eyes and said, "If you don't try, you'll regret it forever." Now here he is. The judges exchange curious glances. They've seen thousands of hopefuls, and another Elvis impersonator doesn't exactly scream originality. Simon Cowell raises an eyebrow. The audience shifts impatiently. Mateo introduces himself in a soft accent, his voice respectful, almost apologetic. When asked why he chose Elvis, he pauses. "Because his songs were there for me when nothing else was," he says. It's simple. Honest. But the room is still skeptical. The music starts. For the first few seconds, it's quiet. Mateo closes his eyes. He takes one breath, deep, shaky, real. Then he sings. 10 seconds later, the atmosphere changes completely. The voice that comes out of him is rich, powerful, and filled with soul. It's not just an imitation, it's a revival. His tone carries pain, hope, and a kind of sincerity that cuts through the noise of the world. Gasps ripple through the audience. People sit up straighter. Simon's pen freezes mid-tap. The crowd begins to react, not with polite interest, but with disbelief. Mateo moves like Elvis, but not as a copy. His steps are raw, slightly imperfect, human. Every lyric feels lived in, as if the song was written just for this moment. The band swells behind him, and suddenly the AGT stage feels too small to contain what's happening. Audience members stand without realizing it. Some clap along. Some wipe away tears. The judges lean forward, drawn in despite themselves. As the performance builds, Mateo opens his eyes and looks out into the crowd. For a split second, he sees his mother's face in his mind, standing in their old kitchen, listening to that crackling radio. His voice grows stronger. The fear dissolves. This is no longer an audition, it's a confession, a thank you, a promise kept. By the final note, the room explodes. The audience erupts into a standing ovation so loud it feels like thunder. Cheers echo off the walls. Mateo stands frozen, stunned, his chest rising fast as he tries to process what just happened. The judges rise to their feet. Even Simon Cowell is clapping, his expression unreadable but intense. When the applause finally settles, Mateo's eyes are shining. He bows his head, overwhelmed. The feedback comes fast. One judge calls it unforgettable. Another says they felt every word. Simon pauses longer than usual before speaking. He tells Mateo that he's seen Elvis tributes all over the world, but what made this special was truth. "You weren't pretending," Simon says. "You were feeling. And that's why it worked." Mateo nods, tears spilling freely now, unashamed. Then comes the votes. 1 yes. 2 yes. 3. 4. It's unanimous. As confetti doesn't fall and golden buzzers remain untouched, something even more powerful happens. Belief is restored. Mateo walks off the stage not just as a contestant moving forward, but as proof that where you start doesn't determine how far you can go. Backstage, he sinks into a chair, hands covering his face, laughter and tears mixing together. Someone tells him his audition is already trending online. He shakes his head in disbelief. All he wanted was to sing. In the days that follow, messages pour in from around the world. People say his performance reminded them why they love music. Others say it gave them courage to chase their own dreams. In his hometown, neighbors gather around a television, cheering as if he can hear them across the ocean. His mother watches silently, hands clasped, whispering a prayer of thanks. Mateo's journey on AGT is just beginning, but something has already been won. Not fame. Not money. But validation that dreams whispered in the dark can still find the light. That talent paired with heart can break through any barrier. That 10 seconds can change a lifetime. The moment he steps onto the stage, something feels different, and before you decide to skip, before you assume you've seen this story before, stay right here. Because what happens in the next 10 seconds will flip doubt into disbelief. And if moments like this give you goosebumps, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because real stories like this deserve to reach every dreamer watching. The audience barely reacts when the announcer calls his name. Another contestant. Another hopeful face. A slim Filipino man in a simple black jacket walks to the center of the AGT stage, his posture respectful, almost shy. His name is Daniel Cruz, 29 years old, born and raised in a crowded Manila neighborhood where dreams compete with survival. The judges smile politely, but they've seen this look before: nervous eyes, tight shoulders, someone carrying too much hope. When Daniel says he's going to sing Elvis, a soft ripple of skepticism moves through the crowd. Elvis. The name alone brings expectations and doubts. Daniel grips the microphone, his palms slightly damp. The lights are hotter than he imagined. For a moment, the noise inside his head is louder than the crowd. He remembers the nights he worked as a security guard, standing 12-hour shifts just to send money home. He remembers being told music was a hobby, not a future. He remembers singing Elvis songs quietly during breaks, using music to forget how tired his body felt. This stage wasn't supposed to be part of his life plan, but some dreams refuse to stay buried. The music begins. The first second passes. Then the second. And then, his voice hits. It's deep, smooth, and heartbreakingly sincere. Not loud. Not flashy. Just powerful in a way that stops conversation mid-sentence. The audience stiffens. Heads lift. A woman in the front row covers her mouth. 10 seconds in, and the energy of the room completely shifts. This isn't an impersonation. This is a story being told through sound. Daniel sings like someone who has lived every lyric. His voice carries struggle, longing, gratitude, all wrapped in a warmth that feels familiar and new at the same time. Cowell's expression changes first, curiosity replacing doubt. One judge leans forward. Another nods unconsciously to the rhythm. The crowd grows quieter, drawn into the emotion rather than the performance. As Daniel moves across the stage, his confidence builds. His shoulders relax. His voice rises, not just in volume, but in courage. He stops trying to prove himself and starts feeling the song. The fear melts away. This is what he was meant to do, even if the world told him otherwise. In this moment, he isn't a guard, or a struggling son, or someone chasing a miracle. He is a singer, standing exactly where he belongs. By the final chorus, the audience can't hold back anymore. Applause breaks out mid-song. People rise to their feet. Some sing along. Others wipe their eyes, unsure why they feel so emotional, but knowing it's real. Daniel hits the last note clean, strong, and full of soul. Silence. Then the room explodes. Cheers crash like waves. The standing ovation is instant and overwhelming. Daniel freezes, eyes wide, chest heaving as he tries to understand what's happening. He bows his head, tears slipping down his face. For the first time, The moment he walks out, the crowd doesn't cheer, they wait. And that pause, that quiet uncertainty, is exactly where this story begins. Before you scroll away, before you assume you know what's coming next, stay with me, because in just 10 seconds, the entire AGT theater will erupt. And if stories of impossible dreams and sudden miracles inspire you, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel, because moments like this only matter if they're shared. Under the bright light stands Marco de la Cruz, a 31-year-old Filipino man with nervous eyes and a gentle smile. He adjusts the microphone, takes a small breath, and introduces himself. His voice is calm, but inside, his heart is racing. Marco didn't grow up dreaming of stages like this. He grew up sharing one room with his family, helping his mother sell food on the street, and working late nights just to keep the electricity on. Music was something he carried quietly, something he sang when no one was listening. When Marco says he'll sing Elvis Presley, the reaction is subtle but clear. A few raised eyebrows. A polite nod. Elvis is legendary and risky. The judges have heard it all before. Marco senses the doubt, but he doesn't fight it. He closes his eyes as the music starts, letting the first notes guide him back to the moments that shaped him, singing along to an old cassette player, dreaming of places he'd never seen, believing that music could carry him somewhere better. Then he opens his mouth and everything changes. The voice that fills the room is smooth, deep, and drenched in emotion. It's not loud at first. It doesn't beg for attention. It simply exists, and that's enough. 10 seconds in, the audience feels it. Conversations stop. Phones lower. A hush spreads through the room as people lean forward, pulled in by the honesty in his sound. This isn't performance. It's memory. It's longing. It's truth. Marco's confidence grows with every line. His movements are natural, unforced. He doesn't try to be Elvis, he lets Elvis live through him in his own way. Each lyric carries weight, as if he's singing not just for the judges, but for everyone who's ever been told their dream was too big, too unrealistic, too late. Simon Cowell's expression shifts from skepticism to surprise. One judge smiles softly. Another nods in approval. The crowd begins to react before they realize it, hands clapping, feet tapping, emotions rising. By the time Marco reaches the chorus, the energy in the room has transformed. People are standing now. Some are cheering. Others are wiping tears, moved by a voice that feels both familiar and brand new. When the final note lands, it's clean, controlled, and powerful. For half a second, there's silence. Then AGT explodes. The audience erupts into a standing ovation, applause crashing like thunder. Marco stands still, stunned, his eyes wide, his breath caught in his chest. He bows his head, overwhelmed, as tears slide down his face. This is the moment he dreamed of in quiet corners of his life, never truly believing it would come. The judges are glowing. They praise his authenticity, his restraint, his emotional connection. Simon speaks last, as always. He tells Marco that what made this audition special wasn't the song, it was the soul behind it. You reminded us why music matters, Simon says. Marco can barely nod. For yes appear. Backstage, Marco sinks into a chair, hands shaking, laughter and tears mixing freely. Somewhere across the world, his family is watching, screaming with joy. Years of struggle, sacrifice, and silent hope suddenly feel worth it. He didn't just pass an audition, he proved that dreams carried patiently can still arrive on time. And that's the message to take with you today. It doesn't matter how long you've waited, how small your beginning was, or how many times you doubted yourself. Sometimes, all it takes is 10 seconds of courage to change everything.